guys, if you're new to Deception Bytes, hit the like and subscribe button and be sure to hit the bell to be notified of future videos. If you wish to support the channel, the links are in the description below. Now, fasten your seatbelt. Here we go.
Okay guys, we're back and it is Tuesday, July 9th. Now, yesterday I did the Q posts to a certain extent. It was all the Q posts that were there, but Q posted more after I had uploaded that video. So we're going to finish off yesterday's post, and then we're going to go on in the next video to today's post. So Q is very busy, and he's keeping those of us that are covering this, he's keeping us very busy. So, and again, I had prepared the Q related news, but I'm going to have 2 videos just with Q stuff. So hopefully we can get caught up on the Q related news soon, even if I have to do 3 videos in one night. I'm sure many of you will not complain about that because many of you seem happy when I can do 2. So let's jump right into it with both feet. Okay, here we go, and we're just picking up from where we left off last night, and here we go. Now, this is the first one, taking over from where I left off last night, and just for a refresher, we left off on this one here, We Are With You, Q+, and of course we know from past drops that Q+ is Trump. So, and just let me check one thing here. I want to be sure that everything is recording properly, and it looks like everything's just fine. So let me go back to where we were. All right, let's go. I did want to tell you guys real quick, though, that last night my darling cat broke the glass in my china cabinet. Yes, at about 1 o'clock at night. Actually, it might have been around 1:30. Yeah, so I had all that to clean up. Anyway, that's neither here nor there, but, you know, I think a lot of you that are regular listeners know about my very naughty cat, who I love. But, yeah. Anyway, I've fed him, and he's all fat and happy, so I'm hoping that he'll leave me alone for this recording. Okay, now, picking up with the first one from where I left off, it's this. It's Q has referenced this post by an anon, and it says for God and country, and Q adds for humanity, Q+. Again, this is Trump because when we see Q+, that is always Trump himself. So that's kind of cool if you think about it that way, that he is communicating with us directly. Now, it used to be more special, but now there's more and more people picking up on these every day because their eyes are getting opened, and more people are seeking out Q to kind of figure it out. So anyway, there's a ton of people all over the world that are following Q. Okay, now let's go up to the next one, and this should be familiar for those of us that have been following Q. It's a picture that now Q has placed this in, and it's his own post from August 15th, in which he put this picture, which is a close-up of, this is Gloria Vanderbilt, and his 2 sons are in the picture. One son passed away, and the other son is Anderson Cooper of CNN fame. And Q is drawing our attention in this picture from before to this necklace around her neck, which is some form of occultic symbol. And he says, do you find it interesting that everything discussed in the past is somehow making news as of late? I find it interesting, but I don't find it that strange because over the time that we have been listening to Q, I think we've come to expect that what Q says eventually comes to pass sometime in the future. Future proves past. So, no, it's not all that strange to me, but it is interesting because, of course, Gloria Vanderbilt just died, I guess, what was it, a week ago? It wasn't very long ago, and leaving Anderson Cooper with $1.5 million. Now, I would have thought that her wealth would have far exceeded that, But anyway, that's neither here nor there and not important to our purpose here, but it's interesting. Now, up here, he puts the same thing, but he adds to it below, and he adds another picture. Of course, this is Anderson Cooper cuddling with, looks to be, some kind of a stuffed cat, and wildcat. And this is his mother, Gloria Vanderbilt. They are very much into the occult. This is Anderson's brother that died, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, he fell from the balcony of somewhere. So it's interesting. And of course, this picture we went over before, all the occultic symbolism in it. And of course, this person, this priestess, is sacrificing a child. That is what is happening here, and why she would want that over the bed of her children, I don't know, but that's the way they are. These elite that are into the occult and Luciferianism, they're all into that. Now, let's go up to the next post from July 8th. We're still on July 8th, the second part of it. And we have this. And it says, example, Joe Biden, Vice President of the United States, he was a Vice President of the United States. He's certainly not now, but follow the family. Corruption in D.C. How to get rich. Are liberals willingly blind or ... Well, no, they're not willfully blind. Not at all. And we've got some two links here to look into. So let's look at the first one that Q has provided for us. And we are skipping out there now. All right, and this from the Washington Examiner. I hope I don't have food on my face. I had just finished my supper before I started recording. So if I have broccoli in my teeth or, food on my face, please forgive me. I'm just saving it as a snack for later. So anyway, here's $1.5 billion contract in Iraq for Biden's little brother exposes Obama ahead of debate. This is from October 22nd, 2012. And Mitt Romney has criticized President Obama for giving green energy subsidies to campaign donors, but a new report out ahead of the debate tonight shows that this White House's crony capitalism has a foreign policy angle. Hillstone International won a coveted government contract in part because the company has the little brother of the vice president as a partner. As David Richter, president of Hillstone's parent company, explained to investors in a recent meeting reported on by Fox Business Today. Since November 2010, James Biden has been the executive vice president of Hill International's housing subsidy, despite little, if any, documented work history in residential construction, Fox explains. And if the company's projections are accurate, both Hill and Biden are on the verge of a huge payday. Beneficiaries, some analysts believe, of James Biden's connections to the Obama administration through his older brother. In the Fox report, a former Hill executive who worked on getting the project had this to say about Hillstone. You have to realize that these guys are relentless businessmen and they have the right connections. And don't we know it's all about who you know and having the connections. Romney has already proven himself. Let me see if I can stop this because I hate stuff like that really distracts me. Okay, Romney has already proven himself willing to go after Obama for crony capitalism, as he did during the first debate. The place you put your money makes a pretty clear indication of where your heart is, Romney said. $90 billion. And these businesses, many of them have gone out of business. I think about half of them. Of the ones that have been invested in have gone out of business. So he's saying half of those businesses that this money went into went out of business. A number of them happen to be owned by people who were contributors to your campaigns. Speaking of Joe Biden. So a number of them, they were owned by people that had generated a lot of money to the campaign, to Joe Biden's campaign. The housing contract in Iraq is expected to generate $1.5 billion for James Biden's Hillstone, according to Fox. So the report could pave the way for an awkward moment for the president in tonight's debate on foreign policy. Yeah, well, we know all about crony capitalism and how there's all sorts of kickbacks that these people engage in, and we're going to get into that, if not later on in this video, in the next video, because Q does bring all that up. Now, let's go back. And we just read this, and it says Biden's brother, $1.5 billion in contracts in Iraq. Gee, any favoritism there? I think so. And then we're on to the next article that Q provides here, and we're going to bring that up now. Let's hold hands and skip over to the New York Post. All right, or not. The troubling reason why Biden is so soft on China. I bet you know, if you've been following me, if you've been following Q, you know, but let's go ahead and read what he has provided for us here. Why is Joe Biden so warm toward China? Last week, Biden raised eyebrows when he shrugged off concerns over the China threat. Come on, man, Biden said. I mean, you know, they're not bad folks. But guess what? They're not competition for us. Oh, really? In what world? Perhaps Biden's insouciant attitude towards Chinese government has to do with the fact that his family does not consider them competitors, but business partners. Any conflict of interest there? In 2013, then Vice President Joe Biden and his son, Hunter Biden, the infamous Hunter Biden, you know, the cocaine dude. Yeah, that's him. Hunter Biden flew aboard Air Force Two to China. Yeah. Less than 2 weeks later, Hunter Biden's firm inked a $1 billion, that's right, $1 billion private equity deal with a subsidy of the Chinese government's Bank of China. The deal was later expanded to $1.5 billion. In short, the Chinese government funded a business that it co-owned along with the son of a sitting vice president. And he wants to be president. He wants to be the president. He's running to be the president. One of the most corrupt men. I mean, there are so many of them, it's hard to say which one of them is the most corrupt. Surely Hillary has to be right near the top, if not the top. But, you know, there's plenty of them underneath her. All right. So, let's go on here. It sounds shocking that a vice president would shape U.S.-China policy as his son, who has scant experience in public equity, clinched a coveted billion-dollar deal with an arm of the Chinese government. That's because it is. Yeah, and this is the guy, remember when we talked about Hunter Biden and the rental car and him leaving, you know, his crack pipe and whatever it was in the vehicle and all that, and cocaine, and I'm like, I don't know if it was cocaine or if it's crack now. I don't know. I guess if there was a pipe, it's probably more likely that it was crack. But anyway, and this guy is a screw-up. He's been a screw-up his whole life. And he clinches a $1.5 billion deal with the Chinese. Are you kidding me? Now, we know that he would not have stood a chance to even get a contract for $10.50 if it wasn't for his father. But I digress. Until the publication of my book, Secret Empires, no one knew the deal took place. Indeed, it took me and a team of seasoned investigators nearly 2 years to unearth and report the facts. Without the aid of subpoena power, here's what we know. The businesses of Hunter Biden and his partners created a series of LLCs involved in multi-billion-dollar private equity deals with companies owned by the Chinese government. The centerpiece of these deals is Rosemont Rosemont Seneca Partners, an investment firm controlled by Hunter Biden and his associates. Chris Hines, who is John Kerry's stepson, and Hines' longtime associate Devin Archer, the trio founded Rosemont Seneca in 2009 and quickly began making deals through a series of overlapping entities under the Rosemont name. Less than a year after opening Rosemont Seneca's door, Hunter Biden and Archer were in China meeting with top Chinese officials. To assist in their new venture, they partnered with a Massachusetts-based consultancy called the Thornton Group, headed by James Bulger, son of former Massachusetts State Senator Billy Bulger. James Bulger has the dubious honor of being named after his uncle, the notorious mob hitman, James Whitey Bulger. The Thornton Group's account of the meeting on the Chinese language website is telling Chinese executives, The Thornton Group's account of the meeting on their Chinese language website is telling Chinese executives extended their warm welcome to the Thornton Group with its U.S. partner Rosemont Seneca, Chairman Hunter Biden, second son of now Vice President Joe Biden, and of course this is he is certainly not the Vice President now. I know you all know that. I'm just saying. Just in case I have to, explain it just in case a liberal has wandered in here. All right. Now where was I? Okay, the timing of this meeting was also notable. It occurred just hours before Hunter Biden's father, the vice president, met with Chinese President Hu Jintao in Washington as a part of the nuclear security summit. 12 days after Hunter stepped off Air Force Two in Beijing, his company signed a historic deal with the Bank of China, the state-owned financial behemoth often used as a tool of the Chinese government. The Bank of China had created a first-of-its-kind investment fund called Bohai Harvest, RST. According to BHR, one of the founding partners was none other than Rosemont Seneca Partners, LLC. It was an unprecedented arrangement, the government of one of America's fiercest competitors going into business with the son of one of America's most powerful decision makers. Wow, that's all I'm going to say. Chris Hines claimed neither he nor Rosemont Seneca Partners, the firm he had part ownership of, had any role in the deal with Bohai Harvest. Nevertheless, Biden, Archer, and the Rosemont name became increasingly involved with China. Archer became the vice chairman of Bohai Harvest, helping oversee some of the fund's investments. Troublingly, some of those investments had major implications for national security. In December 2014, BHR became an anchor investor in the IPO of China General Nuclear Power Corporation, a state-owned energy company involved in the construction of nuclear reactors. In April 2016, the U.S. Justice Department would charge CGN with stealing nuclear secrets from the United States. Actions, prosecutors said, could cause significant damage to our national security. Do you think? These people do not care about America, and they do not care about Americans. They are not concerned with anybody's safety or well-being or anything else. They are concerned with their power and their pocketbooks, period. Of particular interest to CGN were sensitive American-made components that, according to experts, resembled components used by the U.S. on its nuclear submarines. That Hunter Biden had no experience in China and little in private equity didn't dissuade the Chinese government from giving his company a business opportunity in place of an established global financial brands like Morgan Stanley or Goldman Sachs. In fact, the Chinese government wasn't done funding deals with Hunter Biden. Well, do tell. Also in December 2014, a Chinese state-backed conglomerate called Gemini Investments Limited was negotiating and sealing deals with Hunter Biden's Rosemont on several fronts. That month, it made a $34 million investment into a fund managed by Rosemont. The following August, Rosemont Realty, another sister company of Rosemont Seneca, announced that Gemini Investments was buying a 75% stake in the company. The terms of the deal included a $3 billion commitment from the Chinese, who were eager to purchase new U.S. properties. Shortly after the sale, Rosemont Realty was rechristened Gemini Rosemont. Chinese executives lauded the deal, and why wouldn't they? Rosemont, with its comprehensive real estate platform and superior performance history, was precisely the investment opportunity Gemini Investments was looking for in order to invest in the U.S. real estate market, declared Li Ming, Sino-Ocean Land Holdings Limited and Gemini Investments chairman. We look forward to a strong and successful partnership. The plan was to use Chinese money to acquire more properties in the United States. We see great opportunities to continue acquiring high-quality real estate in the U.S. market, one company executive said. The possibilities for this venture are tremendous. Now, this goes on and on and on, and we've hit on most of the most important parts, but according to a recent New York Times report, Biden helped recruit an American consulting firm as well as former Deputy Attorney General John Beretta to help Burisma fight corruption charges. In an interview with the Post, I don't know how to pronounce this, Kyiv Post, Beretta described his negotiations with this guy, Lutsenko, became Ukraine's general prosecutor after Joe Biden had lobbied for his predecessor's removal. Remember that? Yeah. Apparently, the negotiations worked as the case was dismissed in the fall of 2016. Joe Biden later bragged about his effort to get Shokin removed, though his claims Shokin's removal was needed due to his mishandling of a number of cases in Ukraine. Hunter Biden insists he never spoke to his father about the investigation into Burisma. Oh, and we believe a crackhead. Sure we do. And by the way, he was thrown out of the, I don't know if he was in the Army or he was in the he was in military service of some sort, and he was kicked out, I think, a month after he got in because of cocaine. Yeah, but, here he is snagging, billions of dollars in deals. I bet he can't even manage his own pocketbook, let alone manage anything else, but maybe that's just me. Will the Senate investigate Joe and Hunter Biden's action in China and Ukraine? No. But there's a new sheriff in town now, and oh, you bet all this will be looked into, or is currently being looked into. We don't know, but they should, if a 2-year investigation of President Trump, Russia, and the Trump family was justified to ensure the president isn't compromised. An investigation into Joe Biden, China, Ukraine, and the Biden family is imperative, and I would second that. Absolutely. These people need to go down. And by the way, I want to correct this now while I'm thinking about it. The D I said was Durham. It could possibly be D class as well. So, not sure. The D class makes a lot of sense to me, that the D would stand for D class. And the other thing is, and gosh darn it, it just flew out of my head. There was something else, but it's gone now. All right, well, hopefully I'll remember it. If it was important, it should pop back into my mind at probably when I don't need it. Probably as soon as I turn, I stop recording, I'll remember it. But anyway, okay, let's go back. Plenty more to get to. Oh, wrong page. Okay. So he says, so after the first link, he said Biden's brother, $1.5 billion contract in Iraq. That's his brother, Biden's brother. His son, a $1.5 billion deal with China. Coincidence? Drain the swamp. Q. Drain the swamp and then bleach it. Bleach it. Bleach it all. Get rid of all those varmints in there. It's unbelievable. Now, I love this, and this, I believe, is the last one from July 8th. And here is a picture of Trump, and Q put this in there, and it says, "My turn, ... Sweet dreams, Q." Now, is he talking about, you know, nobody prosecuted these guys, and he's saying, "My turn"? Yeah, there's a new sheriff in town, right? And he just he doesn't leave any stone unturned. And here's the other thing that I wanted to say as well. Now, I had stated that I thought that Epstein was the first placeholder. It's not, because when I reread that, it makes it clear that the Epstein indictment is huge. It is freaking huge, because it's going to be like dominoes, because he's already stated, Epstein has already stated, "Oh yeah, I'll tell you who all my contacts and everything are. I'll tell anything you want to know in exchange for leniency." Now, I don't know how lenient they are going to be on him, but he wanted a 5-year sentence and done. 5 years and done, in exchange for providing all the info on everyone. So you can imagine that people are probably having small barnyard animals, because, I was going to say having a cow, but, anyway, they are probably, the commodes of DC are probably flushing nonstop, because they are crapping their depends. So, the first placeholder, Q said, is in August. So Epstein is not the first. And it's going to go this, and then, there's going to be a lot of other ones. There's going to be lots more from there. I believe, and you know what, I've been wrong before, and I'll be wrong again, but I believe the first placeholder in August is Hillary Clinton, because the Epstein stuff is needed to get more dirt admitted on Hillary Clinton. So, admitted on the record. So, yeah, we're in for a very bumpy ride through the summer, an exciting ride, a thrilling ride, but probably a roller coaster ride. So, there you go. I wanted to correct that before I moved on, and let me see if this is this is July 8th, so we'll continue on here until we get to July 9th, and then I'm going to cut that video, upload it, and start with number 2, which will be today's video from today, his post from today. All right. Now, this is the next one, and Q says, puts this in. It's a former Q post from January 7th, 2018, and it says, U.S. taxpayers are paying for it all. Paris Accord equals scam. Trillions. Red Cross equals scam. Billions. And anybody that has been following Q or following me since we've been covering Q knows that the Red Cross is not a good organization, and that all these accords and treaties and everything were not good for the United States. So, U.S. Paris Accord, scam. Red Cross, scam. Foreign aid, scam. Trillions. War, scam. Trillions. On and on. Who audits where the money actually goes? Who actually receives the money? The U.S. taxpayer is funding the very people we are engaged in taking down. Now, we've known that. We've known that the government, under Barack Obama, funded Al-Qaeda, funded ISIS, funded the very people that we were trying to defeat. Of course, they weren't trying to defeat them at all, because they only grew stronger under Obama. And yet, here comes Trump, and in a very short time, we're not hearing much about ISIS anymore, are we? We're not hearing much about Al-Qaeda either, are we? Of course not, because they weren't trying to take these people out. They were supporting them and funding them and supplying them with weapons and trucks and whatever else they needed. So, and when these senators and everything are senators or congressmen, congresswomen, whatever, are pushing for this foreign aid, they get a kickback for that. You've got a government somewhere in the world saying, well, if you push for this, I'll give you this much. That's how they all got rich. Yeah. So who audits where the money actually goes? No one. Who actually receives the money? We don't know. It goes to the country, but who really receives it? And part of it is kicked back to the very senators or Congress people that passed it or pushed for it. The U.S. taxpayer is funding the very people we are engaged in taking down. Slush funds everywhere. And remember, we've gone through this at the beginning of all the Q posts. We talked about slush funds and how they worked. They're used for payoffs of all sorts of things. Think George Soros pays for Antifa out of his own pocket? Probably not. Well, no, he doesn't. The hole is deep. Feel sick yet? Q. Now, this is an older post, and beneath it, he leaves us a link to Sarah Carter's Twitter page. So that's where we're going to go right now and look at that, and then we'll finish up the post. And Sarah Carter, where is our money? In 2015, Barack Obama and Joe Biden gave Equatorial Guinea $4.4 million in U.S. aid. In 2016, Swiss government seized 25 supercars valued at $13 million belonging to the son of President of Equatorial Guinea. He is facing charges of corruption and money laundering. So she's saying, where did this money go? This $4.4 billion. And the government of, where was it? The government of the Swiss government. So the Swiss government seized these 25 supercars, and they were valued at $13 million, and they belonged to the president of the son of the president of Equatorial Guinea. Well, how did he get all that money? So he's facing charges of corruption and money laundering. So was he laundering money, that $4.4 billion in U.S. aid? Did he launder that and kick it back? I don't know, kick part of it back? And it says Obama gave $4.4 million to Equatorial Guinea in 2015. Where did the aid go? The Swiss police will be auctioning a collection of 25 supercars seized from the son of the president of Equatorial Guinea, who is facing various charges of corruption. Now, we're not going to go out to that article because I think that is what we need to know, but that is one fine-looking car, isn't it? I would feel like all that and a bag of chips riding around in that. But actually, a car worth that much money, I'd be like, I don't need anything like that. I don't want it either. I'd like to ride around in it, then give it away, give the money away to somebody that needs it, or an organization that needs it. Anyway, not that I'm so wealthy. I'm not at all. But my needs are small. All right, now let's go back here. Now, it says, imagine what would happen if, by law, every U.S. congressman, woman, U.S. senator, president, etc., was, by U.S. law, audited every 1 to 2 years by an independent agency. Imagine what would happen if those audits extended to all family members of such elected official. Would the Democrats continue to push for foreign aid to other countries versus the homeland? No, because there'd be no incentive to, right? They'd stop getting all those kickbacks. Maxine, what happens when the kickbacks dry up? It's a good question, isn't it? Maxine Waters, $4 million house? Now, she makes a salary of, it's under $200,000. So, I mean, okay, yeah, that's a good salary. I'd be really happy if I made that. well, no, I wouldn't. Money really doesn't buy happiness, but I would definitely not complain. So how did she afford a $4 million house? And I don't think that's her only one, if I'm not mistaken. Nancy Pelosi, net worth $150 million, but we know that she has no morals whatsoever. Joe Biden's son, brother, net worth tens of millions of dollars. Clinton family, $200 million. Pre-election of Bill Clinton, they had less than $1 million. That as a couple, they had less than $1 million, and when they exited, they had $200 million. You don't think they were taking kickbacks of some sort somewhere? Where'd they get that kind of wealth? Yeah. Obama family, $40 million, and pre-election, they had less than $1 million. Disguised under book deals? Don't know. But he's had book deals, and, I have to believe that he's probably worth a lot more than $40 million, but I don't know. That's what they're saying. Those who take are offered more powerful positions within the party. Controlled, drain the swamp. And doesn't that make sense? Because if you have a senior position and you're crooked, you don't want to give that to somebody that's not crooked, because they might figure out what you're doing and tell on you, right? So you're going to hire someone that's just as dirty as you are. And you're going to say, look, you know what? This is what I'm doing, and, don't say anything, and you'll move up. As long as you basically are just as slimy as I am, not me personally, but then, yeah, you'll move up. If you are on the take and are taking kickbacks and bribes and are just about as slimy of a swamp creature as you can possibly be, then you are going to move up. Absolutely you are. But then you're also controlled, aren't you? Because if you say anything against the other people in top positions, they can expose you, and you'll go down. That's how it works. That's how it works in DC. That's why it has taken so long to get people in these higher positions out. So there's not as much, they don't, the other people beneath don't have anybody to bribe or to, appeal to, because they're gone. All right, now let's go on here, and that was July 8th, and this is July 8th as well. July 8th is never going to end. No, this is actually the last one, and it says Tom Steyer is not sleeping well these days. Attack a political opponent will not work. Justice is no longer blind to those with billions. Q. And he is a billionaire, and he is running for president now. And you know what? I just realized. Sorry, I didn't realize that I had that on, and I hope that wasn't interfering too much with the microphone, because that is an air purifier, and it's on all the time, and I forgot to turn it off before I started to record. So forgive me. I hope that you were still able to hear me okay. And I'll move this a little bit closer. There. That should be much clearer. All right. So, and I copied this from the website Disclosure Italia, and it says Epstein is arrested, indicted, and Steyer suddenly considers a run for POTUS. He realizes his 2-year campaign to impeach POTUS won't save him. Neither will running for president to claim political attack once his crimes become public. And of course, we know that a lot of people are running for president because then if they come after them, they can say, oh, well, you're attacking a political opponent. You can't do that. So they're thinking that this is going to save them. It's not, because Q already addressed that way back. All right. And this is another comment on the post above, and it says, "We knew once we saw Tom Steyer was throwing his hat in the Democratic presidential ring that his ASS is toast. He's using the 'you can't attack a political opponent' defense to try and deflect the impending storm. The walnut sauce is his downfall." There you go. So he is involved in, the other whole deal with PIZZA. All right. Now, this is him. Tom Steyer will run for president and plans to spend $100 million on his bid. Okay, he still won't win. And let's look at the connection between Tom Steyer and Jeffrey Epstein. That's right, you guessed it. He's going down. Tick-tock, Tom Steyer, tick-tock. Jeffrey Epstein connection exposed. Well, let's look at this, shall we? Of course we shall. One of the most striking things about how One of the most striking things about this is how certain people are directly, clearly implicated in acts of child, S-E-X, and trafficking. And for those of you that may be new, I have to do that to avoid the algorithms and getting the video taken down because conservative voices are highly, highly censored. So N, Torture, having briefly looked into it, here are some of the names who came up. Anyone who has looked more deeply into it, please add any more below so we can keep track of who exactly is involved here. Evidence of direct involvement. So this is list of American billionaires: Epstein, Charlie Ergen Thomas, Tom Love, George Lucas, Daniel K. Ludwig, Jeffrey Lurie, Harry B. Macklow, Marion McMillan, Tom Steyer, and John Stryker. So these are all people that have been implicated in the Jeffrey Epstein affair. Well, it's not really an affair. It's trafficking. Okay, James Alefantis, James Steyer, Tom Steyer, Herb Sandler, Susan Sandler, John Podesta, Tony Podesta, Mary Podesta, Don Koykendall. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Eric Einstein, Daryl O'Connor, Susan Copeland, Tamara Luzzatto, Amanda Kleinman, Chris Douglas, Jeremy Edwards, Robin Blackburn, Fred Burton, Andrew Klein, Aaron Sepp, Eleanor Clift, Jennifer Palmieri, Tara McGinnis, Catherine Tate, Chris Cleary, Laura McCrory, Zachary Allen, Daniel Parrish, Rachel Rosher, Tom Stern, Maya Harris, Laura Silsby. That should be familiar to everyone. She was the person that Hillary got off for trafficking children from Haiti. Endorsed pedophilic images on social media or posted like images themselves. Bijana, I can't pronounce that, sorry, Sasha Lord, Michelle Armstrong, Izette Macoby Folger, Corey Woolman, Scott Cummings, Scott Fazzini, Cassie May, Wyndham Wills, Joseph Wills, Christopher Boutlier. There's a lot of names here, a lot, and most of them I don't recognize. I do recognize some, but not most of them. I don't. And it says, see also list of PIZZA Gate related Instagram accounts. So this is on a website called the Tea Party Command Center. It is teaparty.org.ning.com. teaparty.org.ning.com. And there's all sorts of things here, but it lists some connections here. And It says Bill Clinton took repeated trips on the Lolita Express, the private passenger jet owned by billionaire, you know, men who like corn niblets, you know, Jeffrey Epstein. Got to be careful with these words here, especially they're looking very closely at this whole thing because they don't want certain things to get out. With an actress in softcore corn movies whose name appears in Epstein's address book under an entry for massages, according to flight logbooks obtained by Gawker and published today for the first time. The logs also show that Clinton shared more than a dozen flights with a woman who federal prosecutors believe procured underage girls to sexually service Epstein and his friends and acted as a potential co-conspirator in his crimes. And I believe they are talking about Rachel Chandler because we know that she recruited for Epstein, and she was indeed seen with Bill Clinton on the Lolita Express. So Epstein pled guilty in 2008 in Florida to one count of soliciting underage girls, and we've covered all this, so I'm not going to cover it again. But anyway, there's a lot of connections here. There's just a lot of yeah, there's a lot of stuff here, and I can't go through it all because it would, you know, that's all I'd be able to do. I wouldn't be able to get to the next video. So I've given you that website, and again, it's teapartyorg.ning.com. So you can look this up for yourself. I am even a little leery to leave the link to this on the video description because they are looking at that as well. So there you go. Let's go back. No, really, let's. All right. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of connections between Steyer and Epstein, and probably all sorts of interesting swamp people. So we're going to leave it there. That is the last post for July 8th, and I'm going to get this uploaded, and meanwhile, I'm going to be recording the posts from today, July 9th. So I will see you guys back. Hopefully I'll see you back because I'll be back, and I'll be lonely if you don't come back. So anyway, you guys stay safe, stay well, stay blessed, and keep seeking truth because deception bites. Thanks for listening.